Okay, you on there, man.
You don't hear it.
You on there? You?
I don't hear you one moment.
Hello, my name is Paris Brown. I'm here to ask you a few questions. I wanted to know, why did you choose to enlist in the United States Army?
I chose for the opportunities, the adventure, really, because you know that was at a different age. We're talking about the 1950s, and there was a lot of many blacks, Afro Americans, and whites. We would join the service in order to help our families. You know, that was coming out. We're coming out of the Depression, which was like 1929 to 36 or somewhere around there. And so things was pretty hard then, you know, to make a living. And then the adventure. So I just always wanted to travel. And that was an opportunity for me to travel. And so that was my main reason for it. But also I promised my mom that I would be able to send money home, you know, to take care of my other brothers and sisters. So she signed. That was before the war. If there had been a war, she probably wouldn't have done it, you know. And so that's the reason why I joined the service.
In your bio, it says that you began to question the role of your all-black unit in the Korean War. Were you able to define your role? What was the definition?
Yes. In fact, you know, we were fighting for freedom and justice and liberation for another people, which was the Korean. I had never heard of Korea before, you know. I heard of Japan, but I never heard of Korea. So that's one thing. Yes, I discovered it was a rude awakening to realize that I was fighting for something that I couldn't enjoy here in my own country. You know, someone could just not like you or like the way you look or something, and it could hang you. You know, you'd be prevented from going to certain places like restaurants or schools. You had so many restrictions on you. So I feel like, hey, I'm fighting. So I came to the conclusion then that I was fighting for my life. I was in a situation where I had to fight for all of us, the veterans and, the soldiers at that time, black soldiers. And, you know, we say things like, yeah, we were fighting for our country, so for yes, too. But that was another fight for us, Afro-Americans, the Civil Rights War, you know, which followed. So, I don't know, I think did I answer you? That give you a good, clear answer? You know, I could go on in details, so, you know, we only got, you know, a few minutes, yeah.
What does self-discovery mean to you?
Self-discovery was actually that occurred to me when I was in Africa. That was when I really realized that, the real significance of being a black man and African. It gave me, because people I saw there, they walk tall and they look tall and they look you in the eye just like you're doing. You know, when you talk to them, and they had that feeling of entitlement just like Caucasian have. You notice that? You know, just feel you walk places and you carry yourself in a position like you belong here. You know, like nobody's doing nothing, you know, nobody giving you a favor, like there you be, you know, you deserve being you, you know, and then you check, because another thing was I became aware of my history as a race of people. Like we look around here, for instance, here, and I notice pictures of different kings and queens and great men, you know. They was real people at one time, and it's because of them that we are where we are now. So that was, I got all that while I was in Ghana, in Africa, in fact. So that, I hope that sort of cleared that question up a bit, yeah.
Mm-hmm. As you were seeking self-discovery for yourself, you decided to move to Ghana, which is a country in Africa. Why did you choose Africa?
Well, I had promised my grandfather that one day I was going to go to Africa, because he was, like I said, you know, he was an ex-slave. He was 12 years old, actually, when the Civil War began. And he just passed in 1851. When he passed, he was 102. And I was in Korea at the time when he passed. But anyways, because of the stories that I gathered from my family, my uncles, and especially my grandfather, and a couple of people, and many black people, because we didn't have television. You know, someone in the neighborhood may have a radio, you know, so everybody gonna flock around to, hey, so-and-so got a radio, so you gonna beat over to his house or her house, you know, to hear the radio, like Joe Louis fighting and all that. So we listened to a lot of stories from our family. That was the highlight of the day. When they were in a good mood, when we'd been good all day, you know, we'd be good intentionally just to hear grandpa or grandma or someone talk about, you know, tell us story, you know. So that was that was a great inspiration for most of us, for all of us, really. And some things, you know, it just sticks in your mind. So that was how I happened to choose Ghana. At the time, I was living in New York, and there was a Ghanaian living in the building. And, you know, that was the talk. That was back in the 60s. And everybody was joining different, you know, movements like the NAACP, SNCC, CORE, you know, those different organizations, the Muslim, and so forth, you know. And there was people talking about going to Africa, becoming part of the Red Freedom Fighters there. At that time, we were going to places like Kenya, East Africa, Nkrumah, you know, they were talking about liberating their country from the colonialist rule. So this Ghana, he said, well, look, man, since you're going to Africa, you should check out Ghana. They speak English there. So, and he gave me a book. The book was I Speak of Freedom by Kwame Nkrumah. And that was it. Pow! I said, that's where I'm going, to Ghana. And so that's how I happened to go to choose Ghana.
Why is telling our history important?
Because, you know, if we don't know where we came from, we got problems. You know, we really got a race of people who don't know where they come from, how they originated. You know, they got a serious problem, you know. And so that's why I think it's very important. And I think that's something that we really have to take on our own to try to learn. It's because the information is here. It's in the libraries. Nowadays it's more because it's on the internet. You can pull up anyone, any hero that we know of or heard of, even those that we haven't heard of, and you see they got a complete bio. So the information is just up to us. We have to take control of ourselves as an individual, you know, to become. You just have to commit yourself to bettering your outlook on the world. Then you begin to realize that there's two sides to every story. Our side, the side that we're being presented with every day from the news media and so forth, which is mostly sensationalized, right? You know, so we can say, I wonder what the other person's position on that issue. And then you go into it, so you're able to compare the two, and then you can choose what's best for you. So that's another reason there.
How do you think the youth of today can commit? In other words, what should we be committing to?
You know what I tell my little nieces and nephews, I told them when I was a kid, you know, if I was your age and had a little of the knowledge that I have now, it could be just if I was your age and I had my life to live over again. I'll say starting from the age of 9, because that was when I decided what I wanted to do. My goal would be to be amongst the first human being to set foot on Mars. So that means I have to hang in school, right? I got to study astrophysics, I got to study mathematics, you know. I have to study those particular things, science, that would enable me to be qualified, to be in a position to take part in that experience. I would really check in on space exploration, medicine. That would be my main goal, so to be space, science of space, medicine. I would discover my goal would be to discover a cure for cancer. or maybe a common cold, or aid. That would be my, so I would commit myself to that. That's another thing I got too by living outside of the country is you just have to stay focused. And there's so many distractions. It's more distraction. You guys got more distraction than we had. But it's like, but you're in a better position. So that would be that would be my take on that. That's my take on that.
In your book, what's a comment ever done to black people? You talk about fear. What can you tell us about fear?
Fear is something that everyone experiences. Whether you're in the army, military or not. Fear to me in the service world, every fight, you anticipate. It's like playing football, right? You line up, or basketball, everybody's lined up there, and cheerleaders on the side, yeah, and you're all hyped up. That adrenaline stuff is flowing, right? And then, you got pins and needles, and then all of a sudden, the whistle blow, and you check off, you get in, and then that's when everything, you become totally focused on your play, on your game, and the fear just about, you forgot about that because you're so focused on your objective, which is the game. But that's the same thing in war too. You just found it's more intense than that. War is the worst thing that could happen to anyone. War is something that I would never wish on anyone. It's nothing like what we read about see in the movies. I've never seen a movie that even compare with a real, the actual realities of a war. They cover that part of, So that's part of my definition of fear. Okay. It's a natural thing, really. And, yeah.
Well, that's all the questions I had. Thank you for your time. It was nice meeting you.
Okay, and thank you for interviewing me. Okay, good luck.
That was great.